How much I made on 1.4 acre. In 30 days, I finally sat down with my notebook and calculator to see what my 1.4 acre actually did in 30 days, and the numbers made me smile. If you have been wondering whether a tiny piece of land can make real money, this is my full story. From the first morning seed tray to the last market sale, I will walk you through every win, every mistake, and the exact revenue and expenses, so you can decide if you want to try it too. How I got started with just 1.4 acre. My plot is literally my backyard plus a strip I borrowed from my neighbor. We are talking 90 square feet total. For years it was weeds and an old dog run. I was tired of mowing it for no reason, so I decided to test a theory. Could I turn that dead space into a 1-month income stream without going broke or burning out? I gave myself 30 days because that felt like a real deadline, and I did not want to wait a whole season to see results. Picking the right money makers for small space. I knew traditional row crops like corn or pumpkins would be a joke on 1.4 acre. I needed high value per square foot and fast growth. After way too many YouTube rabbit holes, I settled on 3 things that fit the bill. First up was microgreens and baby salad greens. They grow in 10 to 14 days, and restaurants pay good money for fresh local cuts. I could stack trays and grow vertically to cheat more production into less ground. Second was cut flowers. A single dahlia plant can pump out 20 to 30 stems over a month, and each bouquet sells for $20 to $30 at market. Weddings were in full swing, and florists were begging for local stems. Third was a small batch of broiler chickens in a mobile coop. I know chickens sound like a lot, but 50 birds on pasture only need about 500 square feet when you move them daily. The margins are strong if you sell direct, and I had customers asking for pasture raised birds for months, week by week. Breakdown of the 30 days. Week 1 was all set up and seeding. I built 2 8x4 foot grow racks in my garage for microgreens and started sunflower, pea, and radish trays. Outside, I direct seeded a 30 by 50 foot bed of zinnias, sunflowers, and snapdragons. I also got my batch of 50 chicks and brooded them in a corner of the shed. I worked maybe 4 hours a day that week and felt like nothing was happening yet. Week 2 was when things got real. The first microgreens were ready to cut. I harvested 18 trays and delivered to 3 cafes that same day. The flower bed started to look like something, and the chicks moved out to the pasture pen. I started posting on Instagram every evening, and my DMs filled up with people asking for chicken pre-orders. Time spent jumped to 5 hours daily, but I was seeing cash come in. Week 3 was peak chaos in the best way. I cut microgreens twice this week and added a spring mix from a 10 by 20 foot bed. Flower stems started coming in hot. I was out there at sunrise cutting zinnias, and by 9 a.m. I was bunching bouquets on my porch. The chickens were eating a ton, but they looked amazing, and I was fully sold out on pre-orders. I hit the farmer's market on Saturday and sold out of bouquets in 90 minutes. Week 4 was harvest and reset. I did one last big microgreen cut and seeded new trays for next month. The flower bed gave me a final flush before the heat slowed it down. The chickens hit processing weight, and I spent a full day at the processor, then an evening packing orders in coolers. By day 30, I was tired, but I had a stack of cash and a phone full of messages asking when the next batch would be ready. Exact revenue from 1.4 acre. In 30 days, total revenue for the month was $4,187, and here is how it split out. Microgreens and salad mix brought in $16.25. I sold 10-ounce clamshells for $5 each to customers and $3.50 wholesale to cafes. I moved about 370 units total across 4 harvests. Cut flowers earned $13 and $12. I sold 48 market bouquets at an average of $22 each and had a weekly florist contract that paid $250 for mixed buckets. The florist deal was the steadiest money. Pasture-raised chickens chickens added $1,250. I processed 50 birds and sold 48 of them at $25 each. I kept 2 for my family. I could have charged $28 and still sold out based on the wait list I had. Exact expenses that came out of my pocket. Total expenses hit $1,289, and I tracked every receipt because I hate surprises. Seed, soil, and starter plugs were $210. I bought sunflower, pea, radish, and salad mix seeds in bulk and still have 70% left for next month. Flower plugs cost more, but they saved me 3 weeks of growth time. Compost, fertilizer, and potting mix came to $185. I refused to deplete the soil, so I brought in 2 yards of compost and used organic fish emulsion for the greens. Chicken costs were the biggest chunk at $645. That covers 50 chicks at $2.10 each, plus $420 in non-GMO feed and $120 for processing at a state-inspected plant. Pine shavings and a new feeder added the rest. Market and packaging expenses were $162. I paid $35 per week for my farmer's market stall and bought clamshells, rubber bands, bouquet sleeves, and a roll of butcher paper. Utilities went up $87. That was extra water for irrigation and the electricity for grow lights and brooder heat plates during week 1. Net profit I walked away with after expenses. I netted $28.98 from 1 to 4 acre in 30 days. That breaks down to $96.60 per day, or about $24 per hour for the 120 hours I logged. I am not quitting my job yet, but that paid my mortgage and car payment with money left over. The best part is I now have systems in place, so month 2 should be easier and probably more profitable. The biggest lessons I learned: direct sales beat wholesale on margin, but wholesale beats farmers market on consistency. My cafe and florist accounts were the foundation, and the market was the cherry on top. Labor spikes are real. Harvest and market days took 8 to 10 hours. Seeding and watering days were 2 hours. If you do this, plan your week so you are not overwhelmed. Pre-orders remove stress. Selling all 48 chickens before they were processed meant zero risk and no freezer space needed. I am doing that with flowers next month through a bouquet subscription. Crop failures still happen on small plots. I lost 1 tray of radish microgreens to mold, and a groundhog ate 15 sunflower stems. Diversification saved me. When one thing flopped, the other 2 carried the month. What I am doing: different in month 2, I am doubling microgreen rack space because it was the fastest return. I am adding basil and cilantro because 2 chefs asked for them every week. For flowers, I am dropping snapdragons because they took too long and adding more zinnias and cosmos for speed. I am also raising 75 chickens instead of 50 because the demand is there and the daily chores only increase by 10 minutes. I already built an email list at market so I can announce availability without relying on social media. Algorithms. Could you do this on your 1/4 acre? I think most people could if they are willing to treat it like a real side business. Your numbers will shift based on climate, local prices, and how you sell. If you cannot do chickens, try mushrooms, oyster buckets, or quail eggs. If you have shade, use it for lettuce and herbs. The magic is in stacking high-value products and selling directly to people who care about quality. Start with 1 product and nail it before you add the next 2. My honest take after 30 days working a 1/4 acre intensively is not passive income. I was out there every single day, but it is flexible income, and it felt amazing to get paid from my own dirt. If you have been sitting on unused land, this is your nudge to test it for 1 month. Track everything, stay consistent, and talk to your buyers before you plant. You might be surprised how much 10,890 square feet can do. If you want the exact seed varieties I used, or the daily task schedule that kept me sane, just say the word, and I will share the details that made this month work.